It's May the 17th, 2020. I want to address a couple of issues today. The first, of course, I have to make some comments, I suppose, are a little obligatory about the controversy surrounding the Buffalo mass murder and terrorist attack, or you want to call it. And also, I want to address some thoughts about some of the ideas floating around the Supreme Court leak of the draft of Alito's decision on the Mississippi abortion case. Um, okay, so first of all, let's get into the issue of. I point out that in the case of the shooter in Buffalo, New York, one thing we have to understand about the left wing, President Biden today is making a typical demagogic approach and trying to blow up this idea of this massive idea of there's all these white supremacists out there. But in reality, you're dealing with another Dylan Roof scenario where you have an individual who's isolated from anybody else, who perhaps gets some ideas off the internet and some of the more darker sites out there, and probably is obviously mentally ill, isn't thinking very straight, obviously, and eventually acts upon it. And interestingly enough, he was able to pull this massacre off without any, in spite of the fact he's one of the toughest gun control states in the country. So, at any rate, I just thought I'd make that comment to begin with. So, most of the solutions that the left will come up with are completely ineffective, obviously. But they'll probably use it to try to momentarily improve their approval ratings or something among some groups and attack the conservatives, completely unfairly, of course, including such elements as Fox News or Tucker Carlson or so forth. So anyway, if you like these videos, please give me a like, subscribe, and any comments are appreciated. Yeah, so like I said, we get into this thing. It's again, it's a tragedy, but it makes obviously no sense from a point of view. I mean, the people he attacked and murdered were innocent people whose relatives have been here probably longer than maybe his relatives were, for all we know, since the African American population, the importation, what was it, in 1807, I believe it was. So, and of course, there are some African descent immigrants that have come in since then from Haiti and Africa, where I understand that. But probably very few of the people there were that. And it's irrelevant because these were innocent people going about their business. And this was an act of complete a psychopath. But on the other hand, 10 people, that same number of people of the same characteristic are gunned down quite every day or more in various, even more than that, in Chicago and Detroit and all sorts of places across the country. So, and in these cases, they're not done by a supremacist or a hater. They're done by just callous people, many times not even really exactly trying to rob anybody. Some of them are just flat out callous, mass shooters and drive-by shooters and all these crazy people. So the idea to try to brand the conservative movement or Fox News or me or anybody else as having anything to do with that is completely asinine. However, they keep talking about this great replacement theory. Well, like Dan Bongino's pointed out, that is an idea that the left themselves have seen as a strategy to gain more political power. And the very fact is, with the illegal immigration that's going on continuously, it's not a theory, it's a reality. And so the real question is, what should be done about it? And obviously what should not be done about it is what this idiot did. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't enforce our laws, and that those that advocate enforcing our laws are somehow bad or hostile. I've often maintained in many of my Twitter feeds that, in fact, the Democrat Party is the racist party, not the Republican Party. And that basically, at some point in time, roughly in the 1960s, they evolved away from their Southern Party roots as they gained more strength in the North, and decided that it would be very convenient to flip on the issue and style themselves as big advocates of civil rights. But in reality, even for years after that, they had many anti-civil rights people in their party. So that's, that's just that. So at any rate, I think we should just kind of understand the kind of lies they put out and accept them for what they are. And So that's kind of my spin on that subject, and I think it's something we ought to do is don't cave into any of the viewpoints that they put out. The other issue I want to get into here, which I mentioned at the beginning, is a point about the leak from the Supreme Court. And I notice the left has been touting this idea that basically that perhaps it was a conservative that put out the leak and not a liberal. And that's been a kind of a situation. As of this recording, at least, we haven't determined who it is officially. I would make a case why it had to be a liberal, not a conservative. And here's why. The people who actually know, other than the leaker themselves, is reporters from the Politico, a liberal news organization, okay, that covers politics in D.C., and other areas. Okay, since those people are liberal, let's think about it. If it was a conservative, what was the motivation of the conservative, allegedly? Well, the motivation allegedly was to solidify an early decision in Roe v. Wade against the possibility that somebody, John Roberts, might persuade one or more of the people that agreed with Alito originally and to change their position, somewhat similar to what happened in the decision on Obamacare many years ago, and not go as far as completely overturning Roe. Okay, but if that was the motivation, why would that would be helping the conservatives then to make sure that Roe v. Wade was in fact overturned? And why would a liberal, who obviously is pro Roe v. Wade, be willing to help this individual do this? So it would seem like that at a minimum, they would simply refuse to publish it. And so it looks to me like that therefore that seems to me defeats the whole theory that it was a conservative, because they also, you have to assume not only that, but a liberal is in conspiracy with the conservative to help them achieve a conservative goal. On the other hand, the case that it was a liberal doing it was that the decision had been made, and the idea was to try to generate public pressure so that maybe one of the weaker justices would cave to public pressure and reverse their decision. And that seems to me to be a much more likely prospect, and it would fit in with why a liberal reporter would therefore keep their confidence and also publish this information. Okay, so when you put those two ideas together, which makes the most sense? It comes out pretty clear cut by analysis that it would be most likely to be the liberal that put it out. Presumably one of the liberal clerks, or conceivably a member of the staff at the court that somehow had access to it for technical reasons, if such a person exists. But anyway, that kind of wraps up that issue. I think you can see the logic, what the left is trying to do on that is also completely bogus. Of course, I guess I may get a little egg on my face if I'm trying to be wrong in the future, but I doubt it. So at any rate, I'll kind of wrap this up for now. And but this is so if you want to follow me on social media, you can. I have the addresses of my various social media accounts below, and I'll kind of wrap this up for now.